months ago, I weighed 245, the heaviest I've ever been in my life. When I was back in school playing college basketball, my playing weight was around 195 to 200, and I thought I was pretty big then. 245 was just out of control for myself, and so I just woke up one morning, told myself, you know what, it's time to change it all.
I belong to you.
I belong to
you. Do just what you want. You're the one I trust, and I always be around when I need some loving, baby. No one else.
yeah. Let you down.
Alright, first things first, I want to give a shout out to my boy AP, Aaron Patterson, for challenging me on making this video. So a little bit of context on AP. I met AP back in 2005 when I moved from Houston, Texas to Northern California to play junior college basketball. One thing that AP and I had in common was that we had a tremendous work ethic. We loved to work out, and we were determined to get better. I consider AP my best friend. He's like a brother to me, and we've been pretty close ever since then. Honestly, one of the primary motivations behind me losing weight and getting focused and working out was due to the fact that when AP came down here, I noticed that he still looked good. One thing he loves to brag about is his six-pack, and I remember him and I used to compete on who had the best abs back in the day. So 3 months ago, I weighed 245 pounds. Prior to those 3 months, I had my weight was fluctuating between, let's say, 239 to 245. I was actually just going up and down, but I remember being frustrated that I could never get below 230. I remember being at the gym playing basketball, and one of my boys told me that, you know, he always sees me working out, playing basketball, but it seemed as if I always maintained the same weight. And to me at the time, that was frustrating because I was like, hell yeah, like I'm trying to work out, I'm trying to do these things, and I'm not seeing any results, really. I guess the biggest thing I realized was that it didn't really matter how much I worked out. It all boiled down to what I was eating. I honestly had the worst diet. I was eating whatever I wanted. I was consuming a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, and what I realized was that I had habits that I needed to break. The habits of bad eating came from me taking advantage of my genetics. Back in school, the reason I was a hard worker. I don't want to take away any credit from my work, but majority of it was genetics. Throughout college, I feel like I did a great job of maintaining my physique just because I love the game of basketball and I love to work out. But I really had no clue what a healthy diet was really about, and I think that carried on throughout the years. So honestly, I think the mess that I found myself in 3 months ago was due to the fact that I did take advantage of my genetics, and I wasn't really conscious of what I was putting into my body. See, one thing that really started to bother me was, I guess because I've always had like this broad frame, big shoulders, people would think I'm in shape. But I knew, like within myself, that I barely could fit into my clothes. I could tell my clothes were getting tighter. I could tell I was real moody and lethargic. I didn't have the energy that I once had. I could tell when I looked at my face making these videos that my cheeks were starting to swell up. My eyes were getting puffy. I could just tell I was really unhealthy and uncomfortable. And I had two options. I could either conform and just continue to lie to myself and think just because I'm playing basketball 2 to 3 times a week that everything was okay, or I could actually change my habits and just change the way that I could change my habits, or I could change the way I was living. Real quick, I wanted to share what I believe are the 4 keys that helped me with my weight loss and this whole transition period where I'm cutting weight and trying to get my body right. The first thing on here, I don't know if you can see it or not, it says mindset. And the reason I wrote mindset as number 1 is because 5 or 6 years ago, I really learned the practice of meditation. And I know some people get weird when they hear the word meditation, but honestly, you should look at it as a way to clear your mind with breathing exercises. And I feel like mindset's important because, like I said, I was working out, but I wasn't eating right. And the reason I wasn't eating right was because I had habits that I needed to break. And I just feel personally that the only way I felt I could break those habits was by taking a step back and working on the way I think, my mindset around it. So number 2, diet. On one of my vlogs, I mentioned that I was gonna eliminate carbs and sugar just because I think those are the enemies of our bodies. My sister she's a physical therapist, she always shares with me that it's okay if you take things in moderation, but I was abusing carbohydrates and sugars and not even conscious of how much I was intaking on a daily basis. So I feel like I was addicted to food, and I feel like 90% of Americans are and aren't aware of it. And so after I worked on my mindset, I worked on eliminating, I felt imprisoned by carbohydrates and sugars, so I took that completely out of my diet, and that struggle was real. But in hindsight now, I'm just gonna tell you it was probably the best decision I ever made. Intermittent fasting, that's something I learned again like 5 or 6 years ago. Basically, everyone has 24 hours in the day. You go periods of not eating. So for me, for instance, I go either 16 to 18 hours of not eating any food, and then I give myself a window of 6 to 8 hours of eating. Hold on. There you go. How'd you get on the floor, my man? There you go. Anyway, intermittent fasting, you should look it up. I plan to do more of these videos in the future so I can elaborate on what exactly it's about, but just know that it's going periods without eating and then giving yourself period windows where you can eat. I think that's done wonders to this process. And then third is, there's no secret, just being consistent with everything I just mentioned and working out. And I feel like I got to a point where I was playing basketball 2-3 times a week, but I wasn't lifting. I wasn't really doing any cardio outside of basketball. And I knew that in order for me to lose the weight that I was carrying, I needed to focus on cardio, and cardio can feel stale and mundane if you don't mix it up. And so I try to supplement my workout by going to the gym, working out with a personal trainer, Krista, or working out with Rashad, just to give me a different look at cardio. I'll go to the track, do some sprints out there, some active stretching. I'll swim a few times a week. I'll work out here at the house or go jogging. I just try to give myself different looks. I go to spin class, just to give myself different types of looks with cardio, so that it's not, I get real bored easily. So if I'm not doing, if I don't have variety, I feel like I just start to lose focus. So here's my 4 keys. I'm hoping that something out of here helps you out. Like I said, one part of this challenge that was given to me was to start vlogging again and start talking about the journey from where I am now, which is at 221, I would say, and I'm trying to get to 190. So still a ways to go. 20-30 more pounds to go, but I feel pretty confident that I've set the foundation of what I need to get there, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. Let me know below if that's something that you would feel would be beneficial or even interesting to you. I'm just curious. I'm gonna do it either way. Alright. Okay, so real quick, I just want to show you my progress of what, hold on. Of what losing 20 pounds looks like. So I'll flash my before pictures here so you can see the changes in my body. So definitely more definition in my body. I've trimmed a lot from the sides. I've lost a lot of weight from my neck and my face, and my hope is that I can lose 20 more pounds. I don't really have a time period, but I feel like I'm still at a stage where I'm learning a lot about my body and my diet, and this is just one big learning process for me. But again, going back to the encouragement that AP gave me, I think it is important that I document obviously where I came from and where I'm going, because it's going to help challenge me to learn a lot more, which would bring me results a lot faster.